you don't have to be as firm with the elementary school kids, you know, you just gotta be patient. Is it Confessions of a School Bus Driver, or is it just School Bus Driver Stories? I don't remember anymore. Let me know which one you think is better. Hi guys, this is Connie. Let's just call this story Patience of Job / Georgie Boy. I mentioned I was sick. It's dragging something fierce. Georgie Boy is a kindergartner that I have out of my new elementary school this year. He, like all my other kindergartners, are very energetic, and you have to tell them like 10 times to sit down. He knew, because I've done this since school started. I put them in their seats. I have them all separated so they're not touching each other, they're not poking each other, they're not doing something that just, he touched me, he hit me. And I'm like, you know what? Everybody needs to keep their hands to themselves. They need to be kind and respectful to everybody. So back to Georgie. Definitely not his real name. Definitely nowhere close to his real name. But we're calling him Georgie. Instead of sitting in a seat like everybody else, you know, I want you in this seat, I want you in that seat. All right, Georgie, this is your seat. He walked all the way to the back of the bus, sat down in both seats in the back. He sat down in one and smiled at me and chuckled, and I was like, that's really funny. You know that you've got this front seat right here. This front seat is yours. Jumped into the other seat, and he smiled and chuckled at me and showed off his new little water bottle that his dad got, and I was like, that's awesome. I think that's very cool. But you know, Georgie, you need to be in this front seat. That's where I'm asking you to sit. And he didn't come up. And I said, Georgie, I'm going to count to 3. And if you do not come up here and sit in this seat, I'm going to have to come back there and collect you so that I can have you sit in this seat up front safely, just like all the other kindergartners. 1, 2, and he slowly starts making his way up. I would have had no problem picking up this kindergarten safely without being inappropriate and putting him in his seat. I was actually very surprised how calm and collected I was, because in the past I have not been this calm at all. Much less, I feel like I have a completely different demeanor depending on the grades of the students. So, just something said, stay calm, collected. Obviously, yelling doesn't work with this student. I've done that before and made that mistake, and he just stares at you blankly. Georgie gave me like this dead in my soul look, which kindergartners should not be giving to parents at all. So it just made me really sad. So instead of yelling, I tried the calm, collected, what teachers usually use, or at least most of the teachers I've seen use. And he got into that seat. If he sat down for maybe a second. And then he was standing up in the seat, standing on the seat, and then leaning over because I put him in the seat behind mine. So leaning over into my driver's seat. And I said, Georgie, no, that's not sitting down safely. I need you all the way in the seat. And at this point, I'm in my seat. And he starts to wrap his arms around me from that seat like he's trying to give me a hug. And I went ahead and I went all the way around. I said, you need to sit down. And I'm sure if you pull the tape, it's like trying to wrangle an oiled pig, I would assume. Except that he was sort of listening. He wasn't trying to run away from me. But he just did not, he was just being a wiggle worm. Georgie did not want to sit in that seat, to the point that this hug thing happened twice, to the point that when I came back around, he jumped up, his elbow hit my chin, and my teeth turned into castanets, and I was like, ow, that could have been worse, but that still really, really hurt. And I was like, Georgie, when you did that, it caused me to hurt my teeth. I said, this is not safe. I need you to sit in the seat. And if you do not sit in the seat, I will be calling for a teacher. I need you to sit down. Mind you, he's only maybe been on my bus about 3 to 5 minutes, and in 3 to 5 minutes, he did not want to sit down at all. It doesn't help that you bring them out 5 minutes before the regular kids come out. I understand that they need a little bit of time so that they're safe, and you are prepared to load the rest of your students. Sometimes 5 minutes is 5 minutes too much. So there was an incident that I was attending to, and in the time I was attending to this little incident, I don't even know what it was. Georgie not only got out of his seat, he got into the driver's seat. put his hands on the wheel and liked to pretend that he was driving the bus. This scared me. And at that point, I said to the next teacher who was dropping off their students, I said, I need you to call an administrator for me. I need some assistance. And at that point, I think he knew he was in trouble because it was the first time I got him to sit down for more than 5 seconds. This all happened in less than 10 minutes. We had not even left the school. So we're talking about in 15 minutes time, this whole incident went down. And I'm just thinking and praying, please let Georgie's mom be at the stop. And sure enough, Georgie's mom was the one to take him off the stop. Part of me is very, very glad that I showed up at work, even though I felt I was maybe at 75% working capacity. I'd much rather be at 100% working capacity, but even with feeling sick and having the short temper, it was honestly the grace of God. And a part of me goes, I hope I can behave like that more often when I'm not sick. So, that was a thing. Should I call this Confessions of a School Bus Driver? Should I call this School Bus Driver Stories? Let me know. Be careful with that and enjoy, please and thank you. And I hope you enjoyed this wonderful story about Georgie with the dead eyes. And it's, and I've learned, well, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I've learned with some of my middle school students, you kind of have to have that firm, you want to give me an attitude, you know what, I ain't putting up with that stuff. You're just going to have to deal with it. You know, save it for Oprah. Anybody that knows that movie reference, you should make a comment. I would think bonus major points if you get it. Which I actually said this morning because I put kids in assigned seats and they were like, but I don't think I did anything wrong with da-da-da. I was like, I don't want to hear it. Save it for Oprah. Sit down and stay safe.